Hi everyone and welcome to this first weekly update. So this is a little bit of a soft launch. I'm going to update you every Sunday of March, and then at the end of March I am going to depend on whether or not I want to continue with this series, you could say. Of course, that will depend on how I like it, if I think it's useful to have these weekly updates, but also on how you like it. So I normally never ask this, but just for the weekly updates in March, please either thumbs up or thumbs down this video, because yes, I can still see thumbs down, so I know if you want me to continue after this. Now, I will not be repeating this every month, but just because it's the first one, what will I be talking about? So in these weekly updates, I will show you my book mail. So if I got books this week, I will show them to you. This is a little bit of a preview for book hauls where I combine multiple book mails, of course. I will also be showing you what I am currently reading, also what I will be doing in terms of live shows and read-alongs so that you don't miss them if you are interested, either on my own channel or on somebody else's channel that I'm participating in. And I will also tell you the videos that came out last week and the videos that I plan to put out next week. Also, this is something that will not happen every week, but if there is fantasy news that I want to talk about, but I don't feel like I need to put an entire video out, that will also be said at the end of each weekly update. So, starting with book mail, I actually received 2 books and I'm quite excited for both of them. The first one is Summers at Castle Auburn by Sharon Chin. This is a fantasy standalone. It's an older one. I think it came out around 2000s. And this is often talked about as, if you like Daughter of the Forest, you will love this one. Now, I've probably bored you to death at this point by talking about Daughter of the Forest because that's my favorite book of all time, so I have pretty high expectations of this one. I do expect a top-notch romance, but also nature-based magic maybe, so yes, very high expectations. Then the next one is one that I do plan to read very soon, so either this month or next month, because this is a new release. And that is Scorpio by G.R. McAllister, the first book in the series of the 5 Queendoms. Now, G.R. McAllister is an author who has written historical fiction before, but this is their first fantasy. Now, I love historical fiction, so I really like to see the influence here in their first fantasy book. But also, it seems like it's pretty high in political fantasy, which I love, because 5 Queendoms, but no girls are being born. And of course, this has a big impact on politics, on economics, and all of that kind of stuff. So really happy that I have this finally, because my pre-orders are arriving really late, and that's a little bit annoying, but still, I have it now and I can read it when I want. Now, what am I currently reading? I'm going to go over this pretty quickly because I recently uploaded my March TBR, of course, and most of the books that I'm currently reading are on that. But of course, I am reading The Way of Kings by Sanderson. If you don't know by now, I am hosting a read-along for the entire Stormlight archive. We are reading The Way of Kings in March and then have a spoiler-filled live discussion over on my channel in April. A lot of booktubers are participating, so we are currently just trying to find a date. When I know the date, I will let you know in the community tab in one of these weekly updates, so you don't miss it if you want to. And if you want to talk about the book while we are reading it, definitely join my Discord. I have my link down below in the description box. So yes, reading it right now and really enjoying it. Now, another book that I'm currently reading is Wildwood Dancing by Juliet Marillier. If you have seen my March TBR, you know that I said this is a book that I might not get to. If I do, it means that I have finished all of my required reading and that I've picked this one next. I have not finished all my required reading being March 6th only, but I think that I can make it work because the font is absolutely massive. It's only 300 pages and it's a YA book, so I just really wanted to read it, so I picked it up. Now, I actually did finish 2 books this week that I didn't mention in my March TBR or in my February wrap-up because they kind of just fell in between, but I will be talking about them in a video that comes out next week. And that is, first of all, The Ember Crown by J.C. Bedford. Now, this is a book that I actually DNF'd. I DNF'd halfway through. It started really strong, but then it went downhill pretty fast. It has some problematic content that I didn't enjoy at all, so yes, DNF. The other book that I did finish and read completely is Hall of Smoke, Temple of No God by H.M. Long. This is the sequel to Hall of Smoke that came out last year. And both of these are January 2022 new releases. So I will be talking about this one, not my next video, but the video after that. So these 2 together with Daughter of the Moon Goddess. I plan to do some quick wrap-ups, quick reviews just for new releases so that you know if you need to buy them or not. Because often new releases don't have a lot of reviews out, and then it can be tricky to spend your money because often new releases are also quite expensive. So I think that new releases video will be up on Thursday. Now, other videos that came out last week, and I did talk about this already a little bit, so I had my March TBR and my February wrap-up. And I actually tried something for both of these. I thought, well, a lot of people are often very busy and they want to see something very quickly, and Wrapups and TBRs are not the most creative videos ever, so I tried to make them shorter. and I don't know if you've noticed, but one was only 5 minutes, the other one was 7. And I just wanted to see how they did and whether or not people liked that more. Well, both of them tanked terribly. I think that both of them ranked 9 out of 10 and 10 out of 10. If you look at the last 10 videos that I put out. That's extremely bad, especially if you know that TBR videos and wrap-up videos normally do pretty well. They're normally the best received videos ever. So I'm guessing that nobody really liked that short format, and then for the months going forward, I will probably go back to the normal format and talk about books and have a video between 10 and 15 minutes. So if you haven't seen any of those two yet and you are interested, I will of course link those down below so that you can watch them after this video. And then the third video that came out was a review for Cashil's Dart by Jacqueline Carey, and if you have seen it, you know that I absolutely adored that book. So last week I came out with 3 videos, which is quite good. I actually like that. I would like to have 3 videos out every week, but that's not always possible. And then for next week, like I said, I of course have this new releases, tiny wrap-up / review video, and then I also want to come out with a new 5-star predictions video. So I did a 5-star predictions video a year ago. I will update you on the ones that I've read from that list. Most of them I have read and whether or not there are 5 stars. And then I think that I will talk about maybe 5 new books that I think will become 5 stars. After that, the only video that will come out is probably this weekly update video on Sunday, but I also have a live show on Sunday, and that is for The Heroes by Jo Abercrombie. So I will be reading this together with Steve over at Steve Talks Books and also Jose over at Amazing Worlds, and we will have a live discussion next Sunday, the 13th of March at 5 p.m. Central European Time on my channel. So if you still want to read it, you definitely can. If you have already read it and you want to join us for the discussion, you are always welcome. So yes, I will be starting this book tomorrow, so I'm definitely ready in time. And then the only other announcement that I have, and this is more long-term, this is not something that will come out next week, but it is a read-along that will take place this month, so I will of course mention it, and that is a read-along for the Sevenwaters series by Juliet Marillier. And I will be hosting this read-along together with Evie and Sarah. And the first live show will actually be on Evie's channel, and that will be for Daughter of the Forest. So we will be reading Daughter of the Forest, yes, my favorite book of all time. I've already talked about it in this video. I will never lose an occasion to talk about this series if I can. So we will be reading this book this month and then have a live show next month. And then we will continue, and I actually really like that because I have reread this book multiple times, but I've never reread the second and the third book. So we will be reading the second book, Son of the Shadows, next month, and then the month after that we will be reading Child of the Prophecy. And we will try to have live shows for each of these books. So if we have a date, then I will always let you know either through these weekly updates or on my community tab on my Discord, probably on all 3 of them. So yes, definitely join us. If you are on the fence on whether or not you will like it, I do have a completely spoiler-free review for the entire trilogy that I will link in the description box down below, so you can make up your mind. Now, normally this would be the end of this weekly update video, but I do have some fantasy news that I wanted to talk about. So first of all, the Kickstarter of Brandon Sanderson. So if you haven't seen the announcement, somehow I would be very surprised, but I will link his announcement video down below. But he has made a Kickstarter for 4 new books, and I have seen a lot of reaction on that. A lot of people say that he was joking about mental health and that this is very tone deaf, this is very bad taste, and some people said that he looked very smug and that they also really didn't like that. Now, first of all, I haven't backed the Kickstarter. I'm not the biggest Brandon Sanderson fan. I only read the Cosmere, so only 3 out of the 4 books interest me. And with VAT and then also shipping, it would cost me more than 120 euros per book. So that's just too much. If I want to have a special edition, I would probably buy Warbreaker, Elantris, or Mistborn Era 1 special edition, because those are books that I know I will love. So I'm not saying this to defend Brandon Sanderson. I'm not a super fan. I don't have that intention. But I actually thought that his announcement was done really well. I don't really see why a lot of people thought that something was wrong with his mental health, because he made that announcement on Twitter. Tomorrow I will make an announcement on my YouTube page. A lot of people were afraid of his mental health, which is already filling in blanks in my opinion. But then he stated, it has nothing to do with my health. It has something to do with my writing career. So if you then still think that it's about mental health, I do think that that's not really his fault. I did see that he obviously tried to make you think that it was going to be something bad, but I thought that maybe he had to push back some publishing dates because of paper shortage or because he was working on some other things. So I actually really like that twist, like, oh, it's going to be something bad. Haha, tricked you. I have 4 new books to show you, and I am starting a Kickstarter. So I actually really liked it. I also think that the humor and just the sketch of being very smug, I think that that worked. I liked the professor vest that he put on and the little professor stick and all of his boards. I really liked how it was put, and I chuckled at least a couple of times, and I'm not even buying the books. So, and on the other hand, even though being smug was part of the sketch and it was obviously done over the top, I do think that you are allowed to be proud of things that you have achieved. It was a lot of hard work, and this was how he dealt with the pandemic. So I actually think that he is allowed to be proud of an achievement like that. So that's just everything that I wanted to say about it, and I do hope that if you are a super fan that you can get your hands on them, because I do know that they are quite expensive, so my fingers are crossed for each and every one of you. And then the last thing that I want to quickly mention before we stop this weekly update is just that if you are a Batman fan, definitely go and watch the new movie. This is one of the few movies that I think is worth watching in theater. I think that Robert Pattinson did a great job portraying both Batman and Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne was portrayed more as a recluse, which I thought was a very refreshing take, and it was very different from the other Batman movies that I have seen. I also really liked the extra characters that were added. I don't know if they were in the comics. I'm not a comics fan at all, but there were some characters that I wasn't expecting to see in a Batman movie. I also really liked the villains. I liked the plot. I do think that the ending was a little bit too stretched out, and it could have been shortened, and that I would have liked that more. But other than that, I really enjoyed that movie, and like I said, it's one that I think is worth the extra money to go and watch in theater other than in your seat. And I'm somebody who doesn't really go to the theater that often. It needs to be a very good movie like Batman right now. Dune I watched in theater, but other than that, I don't go that often because it is quite expensive. So that's everything I did want to say. In case you have missed my February wrap-up, I will put that right here so that you can watch it if you want to. Of course, you don't have to. And I hope that you have a great rest of your day. As always, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and see you next time. Bye!